All right, today we are diving into a really cool piece of technology called Chain of Thought. It's a huge deal because it's basically teaching AI not just to spit out answers, but to actually think its way to a solution.
So let's kick things off with something I'm sure you've seen. Have you ever asked an AI what seems like a simple logic or math problem and it just gives you a totally bizarre wrong answer? You are definitely not alone. It's kind of weird, right? With all their power, why do they trip up on stuff like that?
Well, the reason is actually pretty simple. You see, traditional AI models are, at their core, incredible prediction machines. They look at your question and instantly predict what the most likely answer should be. They're just jumping straight to the finish line without running the race. They don't show their work because, well, they don't really have an internal monologue or a thought process to show. And this whole reliance on just predicting the final answer, it really shines a light on a pretty fundamental weakness in how these big language models were originally designed. Let's break down exactly what that means. So you get this really clear divide. On one hand, a standard AI is amazing at things that are all about pattern recognition, like translating languages or summarizing a long article. But the moment a task needs logical, step-by-step thinking, like arithmetic or some kind of complex reasoning problem, that's where they often fall flat on their face. So how in the world do you solve a problem that's baked right into the DNA of these models? Well, this is where some researchers came up with a really elegant solution, and they called it chain of thought. Chain of thought, or COT for short, is this technique that basically forces an AI to talk through its reasoning, one step at a time. So instead of just blurting out the final answer, it has to explain how it's getting there, which makes its whole thought process visible to us. The best way to think about it is to go back to your high school math class. Remember your teacher saying, "Don't just give me the answer, show me your work"? It's that exact same idea. When you write out the steps, you're way less likely to make a silly mistake, and it's obvious how you got to your conclusion. Turns out the same logic works wonders for AI. Okay, so that's the theory behind it, but what does this actually look like in the real world? Let's take a look at a direct side-by-side comparison. And here we go, this is it in action. On the left, you've got your standard model, it just says 5. Now, it's correct, but we have absolutely no clue how it got there. But look at the right. The chain of thought model breaks it all down for us. It says, okay, there are 3 apples, got it. There are 2 pears. Then it says we need to add them, and then it does the math. It lays out the entire logical path from start to finish. And this right here is the fundamental change. With chain of thought, the process becomes just as important as the final result. We're essentially teaching the AI to build a solid, logical argument for its answer, which, as you can imagine, leads to much more accurate and trustworthy results. And what's really fascinating is that once researchers unlocked this idea, they quickly realized chain of thought isn't just one thing. It's actually a whole field of research that's been evolving pretty quickly. It all started with something called manual COT, which is pretty much what it sounds like. A person literally has to tell the AI, hey, think step by step. From there, it evolved into zero-shot COT, where all you need is a simple trigger phrase, like, let's think step by step, and the AI just knows to start the process on its own. And now we're getting into some seriously advanced stuff, like tree of thought, where the AI doesn't just follow one path, it actually explores and weighs multiple lines of reasoning all at once to figure out the absolute best solution. And these are the next big frontiers. Tree of thought, like we just said, is kind of like AI brainstorming. It checks out several ways to solve a problem and then picks the strongest one. Then there's another super powerful idea called react, which mixes reasoning with taking action. So imagine an AI booking a flight. It would first reason that it needs your destination. Then it would act by searching for flights. Then it would reason about the best options and finally act by booking one. It's an AI that's literally thinking while it does. So let's pull all this together. Why is this such a big deal? I mean, what does it all really mean? Well, chain of thought isn't just some clever programming trick. It's a truly crucial step forward in the evolution of AI. The benefits here are super clear, and they tackle those weaknesses we talked about at the very beginning. You see a huge improvement in logical reasoning and way more accuracy in tricky areas like math and coding. But maybe the most important benefit of all is trustworthiness. Because the AI's thinking is totally transparent, we can actually look at its logic, spot any mistakes, and even give it feedback to help it get better over time. There's a line from our source material that just hits the nail on the head. It says, AI doesn't just give an answer, but creates the thought process to reach that answer. That's it right there. The AI isn't just digging up information anymore. It's actively building the road to get to the solution itself. And that's really the ultimate impact, isn't it? Thanks to technologies like Chain of Thought, AI is changing from being a simple tool that just gives us answers into a real thinking partner, one that can reason with us, explain itself, and help us tackle really complex problems together. So all of this leaves us with one last massive question to chew on. As AI gets better at reasoning and becomes more transparent, this isn't just about getting the right answers to math problems anymore. It's about a huge shift in our entire relationship with technology. So you have to wonder, how will a truly thinking AI change our future?